What is good, y'all? This is JB here, and today got another album review for you guys. Now today we got a quick one. We got Swing's new mixtape, Levitate 2. Big fan of this guy, man. This guy that I've been listening to basically since the beginning of me listening to Korean music, you know, as far as, you know, at least the hip-hop side in Korea has gone. Big fan of this guy's work, you know, frontman of Just Music, you know, they're really killing it. He's finally back from the military. He first dropped Levitate, and now he's back with Levitate 2. Wasn't expecting this mixtape at least this soon, and I gotta say that I'm very pleased with the output. I think this is a really solid project. It's a quick listen. It's 10 tracks, you know, each of them are, you know, about 2.5 minutes, you know, some 3, some 5. So the song durations do range from song to song on this particular project, but overall I think this is a strong lyrical showing. You know, he's never really compromised on his lyricism. He's always been someone to get that mainstream hip-hop kind of appeal with a real, you know, strong lyrical, you know, showing, like in songs like Victorious 2 and Bulldozer. He's shown time and time again his ability to do that, and he comes really through this. For the most part, I'm a fan of every song on this, maybe with the exception of one. So I'm just gonna go track by track quickly and let you guys know my overall thoughts, and then at the end I'm gonna go over my overall thoughts on the entire project. So first we got the first track. Real dope intro, man. He really comes in. Wild bars on this. Now when you're dealing with a guy as lyrical as Swings, you know, you got to really focus on that lyricism. So I made sure I did that, you know, got that English translation as early as I was able to find it. At least the second time around that I listened to this project, and man, some wild bars from him. You know, even with the translation, you know, everything came through very concise. You know, there's parts where he kind of flows in between, you know, English and Korean, and he does an absolutely fantastic job. Lots of flow variation on this one. You have real, you know, impacting, powerful beat. There's some wild vocal like sampling underneath. You know, I'm not exactly sure where it comes from, but really dope. We got the second track, you know, that enters in really hard, you know, booming bass underneath. Some wild production on this, again, mind you. Genius No Chang No Chang, sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, did an excellent job on the production. He didn't produce all this. I know it was mixed and mastered by him, but he did producing on a vast majority of this project. Third track we got is The Next Level with G2. Really excited when I saw G2 in the track listing. You know, he's doing his thing over there at Highlight, absolutely killed it. So glad to see these two together, and man, Swings and him absolutely go really in on this. Some really dope piano refrains on it, dope instrumental, man, and they really, you know, showed their stuff. G2 did an absolute fantastic job. I actually didn't really catch G2's verse until you know, listened to it a couple times. You know, it was really seamless, and then their deliveries were very similar from Swings to G2. Then that brings us to the tipping point. You know, C-Jam, BY, man, they did an absolutely fantastic job on this one. This is, for me, one of the most, you know, cypher-esque bangers on this particular project, man. They really held their own. Definitely, for me, one of the you know, the masters I'm giving it up to on this particular project, definitely C-Jam, man. C-Jam came out on this project, man. He's on, I believe, 2 tracks, if I'm not mistaken, and both features are absolutely fantastic, man. You could tell that he can do his ratchet stuff, you know, on his album and his, you know, collaborative tracks. But when, you know, he's called to the front lines to deliver, you know, a lyrical verse, man, he can really do it. And then, you know, BY always he came up with some really dope, you know, symbolism and metaphors in his bars. Really, you know, BY's been on his artistic wave lately, so I've been a big fan of that one. Number 5, one of the more interesting tracks on it, we got the Indigo Child remix with Vidi Boy on it. Cool thing about this track is I'm a big fan of the original track. And mind you, I've been listening to the original track since it's dropped, still listening to it on the regular. It's on my jamming playlist, so I'm a little biased when I come into this track. I'm not as big of a fan of this version as I am of the original version. I like their delivery. I like that they kind of tuned into the overall aesthetic of the vibe of the song. You know, the song is very eerie and unorthodox and very spastic, and so they kind of channeled that nature that, you know, like Bosco brought in the original version, and then really, you know, expounded upon it. And it's interesting because I believe Genius No Chang is on or at least, I believe he's on the original. So it was really interesting to see them hop on it and give it there. And shout out to Vidi Boy, man, he really killed his. Next track is my favorite track on it. It has Don Mills on it. absolute banger of a track, man. Some really weird vocal melodies going on here. Swings definitely channels into the overall vibe that Don Mills usually, taps into his songs. Don Mills always brings some element of melody and, like some grimy kind of, song structures onto it. So they did an absolute fantastic job. Really dope vibe. I wasn't sure what to expect with them. I don't think this is the first time they've collabed. Don't quote me on that. I don't know offhand. But man, they did an absolutely fantastic job. The next track we got is Everything with Super B. Knew, just simply from the track listing that this was gonna be a lyrical banger, man. Super B really killed it. They kind of have like a minimalistic beat on this one, real dope. Some real raw drums and instrumentation on this particular track. Man, they absolutely murdered it. Big fan of that one. Next track is I Don't. Actually, this is probably one of my least favorite tracks on the actual project, man. I'm not really a big fan of it. Some really weird, groaning kind of delivery. I'm just not a fan of swings in this particular way of this kind of execution that he did on this track. Solid track, just not something I'm really feeling. Some weird beat switch ups on there that were pretty interesting. Next track is the track where I was referencing C-Jam's second verse, and this is an absolute banger. Again, I love the drums on this track. Definitely one of the highlights on this project is the instrumentation. They did a fantastic job. C-Jam really holds his own against swings, and that's not something that a lot of MCs in the Korean game could really do, because I mean, when you're talking a swings verse, you're really talking, top tier stuff. And then lastly, we got a really dope track, and if I'm not mistaken, on the latter half of the track there's actually a reference to Victorious 2, if I'm not mistaken. I heard him repping some of the vibes on the second half of the track. I was a big fan of the original track. This was really interesting. Had some really deep and powerful piano touches on there and some swells, some really impassioned emotional delivery on this particular track. Really crazy way to end it off. Some wild bars on there. So overall, I gotta say this is a really solid project, man. I can't say that it's necessarily my favorite swings project, but it definitely holds up in the discography for sure. Definitely worth a listen. Not bad for just a release that he put out kind of last minute. I think he teased maybe a track and then let people know that Levitation 2 was coming. But not bad for like a a non-commercial release. Really solid project. Curious as to what y'all thought about it, so in the comment section below, let me know what you thought about this project. Were you feeling it? Did you not like it? Let me know what's up. Till next time, this is JV. I love you guys. Bye.